What's happening, sports fans? Welcome back inside the CIF office. Christian Pedersen, joined by Ron Marquez, the director of we'll call you the director of everything. Finally, it's been a
little bit of everything.
Yeah, it's been a short tenure, and you've already taken over. We will get to the.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I didn't ask permission. I'm just going to ask for give. In here are CIF championships. Thank goodness they are actually protected from idiots like me trying to pick them up and break them. But we're closing in.
Yep.
We're in the last throes of league play for a couple different sports. Yep. Football still has the longest amount of time to go, but it's on the horizon. The closest one being cheer and tennis.
Tennis will be first up.
Tennis will be first up. So let's start there with tennis because that is the first one to come. So we need to get to a couple of big college decisions happening around the county.
The early period now. November is going to be the first NLI signing for early recruitment, early signing period. So I want to give a shout out to one of my players.
I was trying to lobby up that.
Sophie Razorday at Cathedral, my number one player from last year, just committed to Columbia. So congratulations to you, Sophie. And there's a host of other players too. I know a couple football players and a couple other players are getting ready to sign in November. So it's an exciting time for these seniors.
November 1st is going to be a whole separate event. Like that's not just a sports thing. That's a countywide celebration of excellence because every single year it seems like we got kids coming out of the woodwork that you're like, wait, 19 kids from that school are going to D1? Like it just blows my mind.
Yeah, the amount of money that is going into these kids and the money they're saving their parents. I mean, I think the parents are happier than the kids.
Yeah, my bad on that, Mom.
But no, it's a great thing. These kids have worked hard. They've accomplished it, and the dedication that the parents, the families have put in to get to this point. It's a great day to celebrate, and it's something for them to get ready and look forward to. And lucky for them, they don't have to go through the college application process. They're all done. They're committed. It's a tough time.
My bad, Mom.
So congratulations to them. And look forward to seeing all the signees in early November.
So that will include a lot of tennis players and a lot of Division I talent. So let's let the people know how this stands right now. The top 10 teams. Tennis has a couple of those different. It can go team, it can go individual. There's all sorts of different ways to win it. But right now we'll focus on the teams. Number 1 is the Bishop School. 2, Canyon Crest Academy. 3 is Coronado. 4 is Del Norte. 5 is Rancho Bernardo. Any surprises there?
Not really. No, Canyon Crest, Bishops, they all play tough schedules. Coronado's playing really well in the Western League. They're dominating right now. Del Norte, always tough. So, and RB, historically always tough. So those first 5 are teams that have been there before.
Moving on, we have the Academy of Our Lady of Peace at 6, La Jolla Country Day at 7, Torrey Pines at 8, which that's an interesting one, seeing them potentially not be the front runners this year. Number 9 is Eastlake, the lone representative of the South Bay in this top 10, and then number 10 is Poway.
Yep.
Anything there that surprises you in that back half?
Well, seeing where Torrey is a surprise, but and just give a heads up, these are all up to date and the points have been updated because a lot of those teams in the first 10 play out-of-town teams and played some tournaments from out of town. So the points are accurate and they're updated. Actually, San Diego should be in that group too. I think their points should be updated too. So they're another tough team that should be in there, and it's definitely worth mentioning because they've got a couple good wins.
Anybody in this or not in this that you're kind of like, that could be a sleeper team? You'd mentioned San Diego. Anybody else that you're just like, hey, if you had to pick a dark horse, that could be the team?
Looking at this year, I mean, those teams right there, I think Coronado could be sleepers. They've always been there, but just getting to that final, I think this year they've got the depth to do it. And again, San Diego, they were my dark horse at the beginning of the season. Good program, great coach.
Hey, you stayed consistent on that opinion. I'll give you credit. Very, very short into your broadcasting career, you're staying consistent with your opinions. You're not flip-flopping around. I like that so far. But let's address that how big this could be that somebody potentially could replace Torrey Pines as the champion.
Yeah, I mean that's a record that's not going to fall anytime soon. 20, I think it's 28 straight for Torrey Pines, and it's been a great.
But that would be a seismic shift if somebody else can take that title from them.
Yeah, slight seismic shift.
Okay.
Because who knows? Because it could just shift a little bit, 2 miles down to Delmar Heights Road, and Canyon Crest may be right there. But you also got all these other schools too. So, but yeah, definitely, it is something different. It's going to be weird not presenting it to Torrey Pines team or seeing them. But you know what? This is now, and the team things do change eventually. So this is something that's coming up, and it just props to all the teams playing a tough schedule and getting ready for the playoffs.
I'm glad you mentioned things do change eventually because we were on here last time talking about the Sarah Conquistadors having a historic field hockey record. I mean, a winning streak that was a state record.
Yep.
That has been snapped by the San Pasqual Golden Eagles, 1-0.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, it did have to happen. I mean, there's no streak yet that has just gone forever.
Mm-hmm.
How shocking is it, though, 1-0 for that to happen?
Shocking.
Or just dramatic?
Just dramatic, I think, is more the biggest thing. 1-0 just means it was a heck of a battle. Both goalies did a great job. You know, and for San Pasqual's goalie to pitch a shutout against that kind of team that has just been blowing teams out, and blowing out meaning a 3 or 4-0 in field hockey.
That's a big win.
That's just a great accomplishment, and you know, it's just on any given day. I love that little phrase there. Any given day, something can happen. So that's why you got to go out and play. You don't just give up to the rankings.
So right now, speaking of the rankings, because you were just the greatest transition man in the history of this game, San Pasqual takes over the number 1 seed. Sarah, number 2. Scripps Ranch, 3. Westview, number 4. Bishop School, number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Back half of that is Torrey Pines, 6. Vista, 7. Rancho Buena Vista, 8. Valley Center, 9. Canyon Crest, 10. Anything out of that 10 sort of surprise you, maybe excite you that, well, we haven't seen that school making noise in this in a little while?
No, those are all again, good programs there, too. And like I said, anything can happen. When you get into the top 8 and being in that open division, it just goes to show you what San Pasqual did. If you play well on a given day and a team hits a hot streak, 1-0 is just as good as a 4 or 5-0.
Well, I think it certainly does excite for the playoffs, because if there is a glimmer of light that someone can sneak in and get a championship back, because a 1-0 loss takes nothing away from Sarah. Yeah. Sarah's still an amazing program, mm-hmm. tons of dominance, tons of talented players. So this just does, though, give 2 through 8, hey, it's been done. Mm-hmm. We can do it, instead of that just ominous doom and gloom of,
yeah, it can be done.
We're going to get rolled over.
But on the flip side, too, does that make Sarah a little bit hungrier?
Oh, I would assume so. I would assume now Sarah is coming they're going to run up 10-1 on somebody in the next couple of days.
You poke the bear will wake up eventually too. So, you know, that things like that happen. But so it's exciting to see what happens in the playoffs.
Anything, because we're going tennis, and then field hockey is next. Mm-hmm. You want to go to, how about some water polo?
Water polo, you had a big win by Bishops, beating number 1 Cathedral in double overtime the other day. So again, heading into the playoffs for them, you got the perennial powers, Cathedral, Bishops, Coronado, Vista. Again, you got them competing, so it's going to be interesting the last couple of weeks of the season. Now that tournaments are done, it's all just about league play, so everybody's going to go head to head. So now this is kind of the prep for the playoffs. You're going to see some key battles going into to see how they do.
Well, and it's kind of interesting. In water polo is something like a basketball, where you get 2 chances at everybody in your mm-hmm. league 2 weeks before playoffs,
mm-hmm.
like
or
the day of playoffs. Last year I think La Jolla and Vista
mm-hmm.
closed out the season, the regular season. It's like that was a preview of, they played 3 days later.
Cathedral and Vista played in the second to last day of the season, and that was a preview of the final.
Exactly, so. And so right now the way that the top 10 breaks down is water polo is hard to figure out, because there are so many mathematical issues with the out-of-section, mm-hmm. non-city teams. So the best guess that we can take at a water polo top 10 right now has something to go with La Jolla, Bishops, Valhalla, Vista, Cathedral, mm-hmm. somewhere in that top 5 mix,
yeah.
with Canyon Crest, Poway, Coronado, Grossmont.
Mm-hmm.
And then for me, the big question is, does Steel Canyon deserve to be in that top 10? Is it worthy of putting a D2 team into that top 10 mix if they are beating the likes of Valhalla? And they are an interesting one, though, because they were a D3 team. Mm-hmm. They won the D3 championship last year, and then they are in the driver's seat for Division 2. So mm-hmm. I rarely have seen a program flip the switch quite like that. Claremont has sort of done it the mm-hmm. last 3-ish years, but they've reached that unfortunate plateau of now they're a D1 team.
Mm-hmm.
They have to play with the big boys, and that will yield some losses. So yes, Steel Canyon in that top 10 mix, even though they're a D2 team. Is that you're comfortable with that kind of
rankings for sure? I mean, when it comes to playoffs, they're in the division that they belong in for now. Jerry and John have done a great job with the competitive divisions, and it plays out, so it allows teams to progressively increase and get better with each time, and go down if it need be too. So I think as far as consideration and talk about top 10, you play with them, you beat them, you should definitely be in there.
Couple things have changed though about the postseason for water polo. Last year was the first year of this. We'll call it state, even though it's not entirely. We'll call them regional.
Regionals?
I like to call it state just because someday a San Diego team's going to win one. We're going to call it a state championship. But the regionals have changed a little bit. The open division teams there's more of them going through now. You want to explain how that's all going to work out in the open division playoffs for water polo this year?
Not totally sure, but I know as far as the playoffs now with the regionals, you have more teams moving on, so that's an added week to the season for these teams.
It's the number of teams going. It's now going to be the top 6. Am I correct? From open division.
I believe so. So that's we'll go by the rankings, and we'll also go by playing games as well. So I believe
that's where I was getting. There's now 2 more playing games. Last year it was just the consolation game. Now there is a whole separate side of that bracket.
Yep.
So if you make open division, you are guaranteed to have to battle through more playoff games than anyone else in any other bracket. So if you are a fan of good water polo, congratulations, your dreams have been answered. You could potentially get 2 or 3 extra Coronado, La Jolla, Bishops, Vista, Cathedral type games in that pool. And I mean, that's what everybody wants to see, is just the best teams going at it
good
constantly.
Matchups. Definitely good matchups. So, and that's one thing as a coach, you got to remind yourself in that open division, we're not done completely with 1 loss. You got to keep playing until somebody tells you got to stop playing. So this team's got to be aware of that. And I know there's always that letdown after a loss, but now with these regionals and state playoffs, we get something more to look forward to. So these teams are never, we've had instances where we don't win a CIF San Diego title, but you can go on and win a state
title, baby.
So you know what? There's bigger carrots out there. So we just gotta, as a team, gotta remember that and keep pushing forward.
Well, it's just also interesting being in the genesis of it. This is happening in real time. We're seeing in real time how the San Diego section is faring at the beginning of this, and how over the years, hopefully, we are going to be improving as a section, because I think we can all agree that we can put the rivalries aside when it goes to that state playoff, and we're all just cheering for collectively our boys. Other sports coming up soon. We got cross country. They are going to be going into their finals, so they are now just league play, because they're the big meets and the big races are all behind us.
I think you said Mount Sac still.
Mount Sac is still one of them.
I think that's the last big one before the last couple league matches or league meets, and then CIF coming up a couple weeks in November. And so it's interesting. You had the Stanford invite a couple weeks ago, then you had a big local one here too, and then we're going on to Mount Sac, and then championships down at Morley Field. And if you haven't been to one, have you been to cross country?
I have. I had my mind blown. Please, for the people that haven't been to one, make the pitch.
That is a great event down at Morley Field. It's Dennis McClanahan, the committee down here, does a great job at Morley Field getting it organized. It's a ton of people. It's organized chaos, but it's a great event, and there's plenty of good places to watch and see, and some great competitors and moving through. So it's you should definitely go at least once just to see and watch your schools compete. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. I cannot stress what he said enough, that it's worth going at least once. There's all sorts of things that you realize, I've completely discredited this and discounted this. This is way more entertaining than I thought it would be. I think organized chaos, I wish I had known that going into it, because I was so like, what's going on?
It's a lot going on, but it's a great event to see all those runners at once. And the way the course is set up, I mean, you can't just, they go by you once, you see them, you stand in one spot, you'll see them pretty much through the whole race and see kind of the turns and where kids make their moves and things like that. So it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, when you have people at that second or third mile still having the energy to then just start their closing run, it's amazing to see the athleticism that I think that if you put a lot of football players into, hey, go run 5 miles.
Yeah.
They'd be like, nah, I run 10 yards and I do an out. I'm not trying to do that. So there's a lot of athleticism that maybe goes underappreciated in that sport.
Right, definitely.
Cheer is also coming up.
Cheer is a lot earlier this year. It's coming up December 8th at Carlsbad. So applications have been sent out. So we want to do a push to all the schools out there. You can check with your ADs. The ADs check your email. The applications have been sent out to make sure you sign up for your different divisions. Patches, we're doing our patch orders already, so that way if schools want to get their patches for participation in the cheer championships, that's on the entry form as well. So a lot of that information is going out a lot earlier than last year. So
and that's another one like cross country that if you haven't gone to see, you need to go check it out, because there's athleticism beyond athleticism, people flying up in the air, people holding people up. It is not just who can say go team go or we want fried chicken the best. Like, this is legitimate competitive cheer.
Yes. Yeah, when you're in a position called a flyer, you really are flying, and when you see these kids throw each other
while
through the air,
spinning and maintaining perfect posture, it's absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
Anything else that you want to address about what's going on right now in our lead up to the playoffs?
No, again, just it's an exciting time. As you see, we got all the awards here, all the banners are in, so we're gonna get ready to bring them up and put them out there. So we're gonna be excited to pass them out to all the champions. Look forward to the schools that win championships. One stat we saw last year, I think it was at least 25, 26 new schools.
First-time champions,
First-time champions, so excited to see which school steps up and wins a first-time champion, if there's a new champion in all the individual championships. So
that's where I think a lot of the credit is due to their, just to play devil's advocate, there's sometimes a lot of negativity about CIF's power rankings and playoff competitive balance brackets, and why does this one team get screwed or this one league get screwed. But there's also so much excitement about it because you guys do have a system where every year a school's winning its first.
Yeah.
Every year history is being made. Every year someone gets to enjoy that special moment of, we brought home the first water polo, tennis, golf, whatever it is, championship in school history. So a lot of credit is due to you guys for creating such an excellent system.
Yeah, no, Jerry and John have come up with a great system, and I think it's the fruits of their labor. It's taken a few years to get that in put in place and see the effects of it, and it's starting to happen. It's happening.
Yeah,
and it's exciting for these new schools.
One last one I will throw out for girls golf. That's a hard one to come watch in person.
Yep.
They spread out, don't have a ton of access to the course, but good news, folks. The website is off the chart. Like,
you can track it.
You can track it live scoring as we go into all these finals. That comes second after the tennis.
29th and 31st.
29th and the 31st at Admiral Baker. But you can follow along at CIFSDS.org. Go to that website for anything and everything you need anyway. But cannot stress enough, history is being made every time with these girls just because they're coming close to breaking course records. They're going to different... They're not even really probably going to go to very much college. They're going to go straight to the LPGA with some of the talent that we have here in San Diego. So it's worth checking out. Everything you need, CIFSDS.org. At CIFSDS on all the social media.
Social media, yeah.
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. They can find you there. You've done a great job revamping all of that this year with Vanessa and the rest of the cast here. It's been amazing to see. We are at SD Prep Insider on everything. And you going out to any games this week?
This week, a couple senior days are coming up for a couple of teams, so kind of going to go out to that.
Okay.
And we're going to see just kind of we talk in the office who's going to what, so we kind of try to cover each part of the county.
Yeah, they're going out to Battle of the Fans. Check out the other video we just did with John Labetta about Battle of the Fans. Get all of that kind of stuff turned in, because that is also a CIF championship that we have to talk about. But that one happens after all of these. So we don't need to confuse you and bog you down in too many sports. Thank you very much for joining us here in the CIF offices. We'll see you next time, sports fans.
Thank you.